Alright, this is the second video in our series on Flash. And in this series we will first recap what we just did in video 1 and then go on and talk about the project that we will be working on. Alright, if you remember, we started Flash. We said that you should save early and often, just in case. That whenever you're starting a new Flash project, you should choose Flash Action Script 2.0. We went over the parts of the screen, how to find them. We talked about the tools, properties, actions, which we really haven't dealt with, and the stage. We looked at the menus, we looked at and talked about layers, and then we actually used some of the tools a very little bit. And we then said save early, save often. Alright, in this one we are going to start on a project, and what we're going to do is animate a gel electrophoresis project. So in order to do that, we have to draw the gel and its holder, which will look simply like the holder, but that's okay. We'll have to put the wells in and the positive and minus poles. And this will be just during this part of the project. We will add to this. This is where the save as comes in. Alright, what we're going to be doing during this video is to draw the background, and that will be drawn as shown below here. We're going to draw the gel and the holder, the wells and the poles. No big deal. Alright. The gel and the holder will be a rectangle, the wells will be small rectangles, and the plus and the minus will be, strangely enough, plus and minus signs with circles around them. Alright, we're going to have to set up and use grids during this. We're going to want to align items, and then we're going to have to count how many layers we're going to need. So that's what we want to accomplish during this process. Well, there's our old project, so let's go new. We want to select a new action script 2. And under the save early, save often, we'll save this as not wanting to take the time to spell out electrophoresis, other than the fact that I might spell it wrong. Alright, so we now have all of that. Now, what are we going to actually need for this project other than one layer? Well, as I said, one of the items we're going to have to do is talk about counting layers. And because I know a little bit more about what this project is going to look like, I will tell you that we will start with a minimum of 3 layers. And we're going to call the middle layer here gel. We're going to call the bottom layer button. And we're going to call the top layer action. And we're not going to do anything with either the action or the button layer yet, but we're going to need all of those in a moment. Alright, one of the other things we have to learn about is how to put in new frames, and then the difference between frames and keyframes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click in frame 5. I'm going to hold down my shift key and click in frame 5 of the button layer. I'm then going to go to Insert, Timeline, and I'm simply going to put in frames. Alright, you'll notice that these frames have open rectangles where this has a circle. The circle indicates something called a keyframe. And keyframes are where content changes, and simple frames just hold content. You're kind of going, well, there is no content to be held yet. Well, that's true. What I'm going to do now, because I'm about to start with some content, is I want to put in a keyframe. And all of a sudden I get the circle. Alright, so now I'm set up But remember I said it's good to lock all the layers and unlock only the layer you're going to work on. And that way, hopefully we won't mess up too badly. All right, I'm going to, under View, find Grid, and I want to show the grid. And that gives me a grid that I can use for aligning objects. And I can edit the grid, and it comes in this strange 18 pixel size. So I'm going to make this 25, which is larger, but that's okay. That just gives me a somewhat more usable number. I also want to add the rulers, and that says, all right, here's my 0. And if you remember, when you were in Photoshop, you had a ruler, etc.